Smackdown tonight. Man, oh man, I tell you one thing. I don't know what the fuck is going on with the SmackDown Women's Division, but Bruce and Vince need to get it together, man. This Sasha Banks and Bianca Belair feud has been god awful. Their build has been fucking terrible. They're built towards WrestleMania. They're built towards Fastlane. But there were a lot of good parts on the show. We got Sasha Banks retaining over Nia Jax. Seth Rollins addressing Cesaro. Edge talks Master WrestleMania and more. Plus, the Mysterios versus the Street Profits. We got that to go over. Mysterios versus Alpha Academy. We got Daniel Bryan addressing Fastlane, Edge, and Reigns. And we got Corbin picking up his victory over Sami Zayn. And we got the Michael Cole interview with Big E and Apollo Crews. Of course, we got Natalya and Tamina attacking Shayna Baszler and Bianca Belair. And then we got Edge picking up a victory over J Uso. Folks, we're going to go over it all. We're going to talk about it. We're going to go over it all right here on my Ingram Wrestling News YouTube channel.
Bring 6 bucks and a 2 fish.
Hit my music. Ladies and gentlemen, this is IWN's very own Brennan, and I am here live with your March the 9th, 2021 SmackDown review. If you are new to the channel, man, go on ahead and hit that subscribe button, turn on the bell for notifications, of course, so you won't miss not only my SmackDown reviews, but also so you won't miss my Raw, NXT, NXT UK, and AEW Dynamite reviews that go live each and every week on the channel. And also, so you won't miss all my gaming content and all of my games that I stream live on YouTube. So, never miss my live streams, folks. Follow me on Twitter at Ingram Wrestling. Follow me on Twitch at Ingram Wrestling News. I still need more Twitch followers. I don't know why I haven't got any more Twitch followers yet. Can somebody please explain to me why? Because I need to know right now. And also, I am on my way to 300 subscribers on YouTube. I'm on the road to 1,000. So again, please hit that subscribe button and turn on the bell for notifications, especially if you want me to get up to 1,000 subscribers. Especially if you want me to bring you the best content on the channel. I am definitely considering my own podcast. I'm not sure yet. I'm thinking about it. I am highly thinking about it in the future. Highly. So I could have my own podcast in the future. I don't know. Or I might have my own news podcast. Who knows? But I definitely have a lot in store for me in my future and in my life. And I'm very, very, very grateful for that. I'm mostly very grateful that I've surpassed 200 subscribers. That really made me happy. And I just want to give a shout out to everybody who's been supporting me and my channel for years, who's been supporting me this entire time. I really appreciate you all for supporting me and showing your love and support for my channel. Keep doing that because it motivates me to get better. And your votes on Twitter, when I tweet out the Twitter polls, your votes on Twitter actually motivates me to get better. So when I tweet out how I do on my reviews and stuff, and then people vote good or bad, it actually motivates me to get better with my reviews and stuff. So thank you so much for that. And we're going to go ahead and get started with the review. Now, as of right now, I have no SmackDown news, so we're going to get right to the review. At the end of the review, I'm going to check and see if there's any SmackDown news that I've overlooked, that I haven't checked out yet, that I haven't given out. So, anyways, let's get to it here. SmackDown opens up with Sasha Banks and Bianca Belair arguing backstage. I don't know why. Obviously, this was set up by Bruce and Vince. Bianca asks why she agreed to this match, saying Nia Jax could beat her and take her title. So what was she thinking? Banks starts to explain herself and mentions that Reginald and Bianca Belair runs with that. So she says he's in her head and she isn't focused, but she won't come out and help her. Banks says she didn't ask for any help. So then we got Sasha Banks defending her SmackDown Women's Championship against Nia Jax with Shayna Baszler at ringside. Obviously, Bianca Belair was at ringside too when she came. She came before a commercial break, I think, if I'm right. She actually came down before commercial break. So the title match gets underway, and Nia shoves Banks back, and she goes to the apron. Sasha shoulders Nia in the gut and gets back inside to kick her down in the corner. Banks wants a bank statement, but Nia shrugs her off and hits a back elbow. Jax lifts Sasha for a military press, then lifts her for an elbow and a 2 count. Nia shoves Banks to the ropes, then hits her with a body attack. Nia lifts Sasha and hits a Samoan drop for a 2 count, and Jax is getting angry. Bianca Belair's music hits, and she comes down as Banks rolls out. And we got a commercial break. Just as I said before I read to you all what went down with the SmackDown Women's Tag Team, the SmackDown Women's title match. I said that just before I read to y'all what happened with the SmackDown Women's Championship match. I just said that. Said that right in the open. Commercial break, back live, and Nia catches Banks and lands a spinning sidewalk slam for a 2 count. Nia gets Sasha in a stretcher muffler and swings her face into the turnbuckles for a near fall. Nia applies an arm trap sleeper, but Banks quickly fights free. Nia gets the stretch muffler again, but Banks climbs down. Sorry, clearing my throat. Had something in my throat. Nia attempts a sit out, but Banks rolls away. Then hits a reverse Meteora for a 2 count. Nia throws Sasha out of the ring, but Banks kicks her in the face. Banks slides back in and tries for a choke, but Nia swivels into a hold. Now Banks counters with a tilt-a-whirl and gets Nia down in the Banks statement. Bianca Belair and Shayna Baszler are fighting on the floor, and they roll in, which distracts the referee. The ref checks on Belair, so Baszler tries to kick Banks, but she moves, and Shayna ends up hitting Nia. Jeez, that was dumb. Belair tosses Baszler out, then Banks rolls up Nia for the win. Folks, number one, why was this match booked? And number two, nobody in the IWC community asked for this match. I don't even know why this match was even announced and booked for SmackDown. This was an absolute waste of a match. This right here was. Why would you book a match like this when you know Sasha Banks was going to retain in the first place? Obviously, she knows how to beat Nia Jax. And why would anybody want to see Nia Jax perform awful in the fucking ring like she always does? Jesus Christ, man. The Nia Jax version geeks probably were the ones that wanted this fucking match. I'm talking about the Nia Jax IWC version wrestling fan geeks out there in the community. I bet you they went on the decision. I bet you they were the ones that wanted this match. Well, the rest of us that are not Nia fans didn't want this match. None of us asked for it at all. Now, I will say that this preview of Sunday's women's tag team title match, in which Jax and Basler will defend against Banks and Belair, was a welcome change to the entire formula. I will say that. But there was no long, bloated in-ring promo used to set up the night's main event. Instead, we had a brief backstage back and forth that directly transitioned into a high-profile title match. That match was a solid one that basically focused Banks to fight from underneath and alert Belair, knowing full well that she has greater odds of leaving WrestleMania 37 with the women's title if she faces the boss instead of the irresistible force appearing to support her. Now, Corey Graves calling out Baszler for possibly intentionally kicking Jax was an interesting development. That was a very, 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 very interesting development. Jax fought for her title, and if she had won, it almost certainly would have taken her focus. Now, leaving her tag title reign with Baszler to suffer. Now, the question is, did the Queen of Spades purposely cost Jax to benefit herself? Now, that is certainly one interpretation. Now, what is for certain is Sunday night, the two teams battling for the tag titles have their own tension to overcome if they wish to leave the event with the gold. Now, as a result, an otherwise pedestrian match features considerable drama for the creative team and performers to draw from. But the fact of the matter is, the point is, folks, the way this built was, it was absolutely awful. I don't care what anybody says. This build was awful. I don't know where this leads. You know, WWE can do Sasha Banks and Belair better than this. Now, We see that 1 minute they're friends, and then the next minute it seems like they're not friends. They're fighting and healing on each other, and then the next they're friends, thing that doesn't work for two natural heel characters. And one is supposed to be face. It really makes no sense whatsoever. But still, pedal-string match features considerable drama for the creative team and performers to draw from. That sounds interesting. That sounds a little bit interesting. Doesn't sound that interesting, though. Let's be honest. Now, we see a lengthy replay of the entire situation between Edge and Daniel Bryan and Roman Reigns. Now, Edge would face Jey to determine the special enforcer for Bryan versus Reigns at Fastlane. I'm guessing special referee, but it says special enforcer. I think I would have went with the match to determine who the special guest referee would be instead of going with special enforcer. I think going with special referee would have been a lot better, in my opinion. I don't know about you all. But anyways, Edge interviewed backstage and says it's crazy to be wrestling on SmackDown, the place that feels like home. He said the best night of his life happened on SmackDown, beating The Undertaker to win the World Heavyweight Championship. But the worst night of his career also happened here, relinquishing that championship to retire. So it's quite surreal, but it feels right. As for tonight, Edge says he thinks Daniel Bryan deserves a fair shot at. Jey is one of the very best in the business, but as long as he continues to be Roman's lackey, he'll find himself in trouble. And he assumes that he is that trouble. Yeah, just like Bruce and Vince are the trouble when they're always writing garbage every week, which seemingly makes no sense. Just like Bruce and Vince are trouble when we always gotta watch Monday Night ish and SmackDown ish every week. That's all we get right now. That's all we get those days. That's all we get these days is Raw and SmackDown garbage. That's all we get every week. They want the shows to be written their way. They don't wanna give us what we want out of the shows. They only want to give themselves what they want out of the shows. They don't care about how terrible they write the shows and how terrible they produce the shows. They only care about who they want on it and what they think is going to benefit the show. What they think is going to better the fucking viewership and ratings. If that doesn't tell you how awful Bruce and Vince are, I don't know what else to tell you, man. On top of the fact that they need to get fired. These guys don't know what they're doing. They don't know how to produce or write. They don't even know how to book matches the right way. This 50-50 booking is becoming a problem, man. It really is. And I don't even know why the hell they went with Daniel Bryan versus Roman Reigns. Why did you have Edge win the Royal Rumble? This Roman and Edge storyline absolutely makes no sense. And then you got some of these UK geeks that's agreeing to the shit. You know what I'm saying? It makes no sense. Daniel Bryan versus Roman Reigns should have been the better match for WrestleMania 37. That's what should have been booked for WrestleMania 37. Roman Reigns versus Daniel Bryan. There's a storyline there. They have a history between one another. They have chemistry in the ring. And they cut good promos. The Roman Reigns and Daniel Bryan feud reminds me of Roman and the Cena feud. That's what the Roman Reigns and Daniel Bryan feud reminds me of. The Roman and Cena feud. It reminds me of how Roman and Cena were in the ring exchanging a war of words. That was what Daniel Bryan and Reigns did tonight. That showed it right there. See, this is why I say Roman Reigns versus Daniel Bryan would have made a lot more sense. There's potential in the match. It could have main evented WrestleMania 37. Daniel Bryan, either Daniel Bryan or Roman Reigns, could have been the new Universal Champion. We could have got a new Universal Champion. We could have got Daniel Bryan as the new Universal Champion, but no. Instead, they want to go with Edge and Reigns. My God, man. How dumb can some of these IWC geeks be, man? Really. Not only did WWE go with the decision, but some of the UK and the American geeks in the community went with it too. They said, oh, I agree with WWE. Oh, I'm going to suck Vince McMahon's cock, and I'm going to absolutely agree with this fucking decision. Oh, man. What a bunch of fucking behemoths, man. Seriously. This is why I don't follow people like that. I don't follow on Twitter, man. Negative people like that vote on stuff, that vote on terrible decisions, that agrees with WWE's terrible decisions that they make. People like that I don't follow on Twitter, because they don't know what's going on with WWE. Hell, I know what's going on with WWE more than the majority of the freaking people in the IWC community, and I'm confident to say that. I'm very confident to say that I do. But anyways, folks, Nia Jax and Shayna are backstage arguing. Nia says she should be double champion, and if Shayna tries to pull some crap on Sunday, she will come for her. Basler says she'll get a match against Belair. Oh, really? And who the heck came up with this decision? Bruce? That's exactly who came up with the decision to book that match. Bruce. This is the third time in a row we've seen this match. This is another thing I'm getting tired of. I am getting so sick and tired of WWE booking the same matches every week, not knowing it's not even a feud. You're booking the same match, the same superstars, two of the same superstars in the same match every week. It's always the same bullshit every week. Especially with Raw, man. It's always the same crap. It's the problem with WWE, Vince and Bruce. If it's not a storyline, don't book it. If it's not a feud, don't book it. If it's not a rivalry, don't book it. We're feuding. If it was a Shayna and Belair feud, I understand that. But a Nia Shayna feud with Sasha Banks and Belair? Why was this feud even brought up in the first place? It just, the build and all this stuff, it just doesn't make sense, dude. It really doesn't. WWE needs to start understanding better. They need to better understand the community. When the community tells WWE what they want, they need to give them what they want instead of giving them the opposite. WWE needs to be all about giving the fans what they want. Not what Bruce and Vince McMahon wants, what the fans want, what the IWC community wants. I can tell you right now, most of us in the IWC community, we want better Raw and Smackdown shows because it seems like we're getting garbage on both brands every week. Why can't Raw and Smackdown be like NXT and NXT UK? Hey, hell! I said this before, I'm saying this again. NXT and NXT UK are two of the only best brands in all the sports entertainment right now. Two of the only best brands in WWE, World Wrestling Entertainment. Want to know why? Because of Triple H. Because of Triple H. It's all thanks to Triple H that NXT and NXT UK are two of the only best brands in all WWE right now. Monday Night Raw and SmackDown? Don't think for 1 second that they're two of the best brands in all of WWE sports entertainment, because actually they're not. I mean, look at the fucking viewership for Raw and SmackDown every week. I mean, Look at all this freaking 50-50 booking. I mean, and then you got Humberto Carrillo. You got young talents like Aleister Black and Keith Lee not being used. Look at that. No wonder why the Third Raw viewership going to an all-time low. Look at all this talent they got. They're not freaking using them. They're not booking them in storylines. They don't have no plans for them. They're not. Vince McMahon has lost interest in them. All these confusing storyline and feuds, man, it's one of the reasons why the viewership is dropping to all-time lows every week on Raw. It's always this garbage, man. This garbage writing. It's this terrible garbage writing at the hands of Bruce Prichard. The problem is Bruce's garbage creative writing. That's the problem. It's Bruce's writing. It's Bruce's writing that's making these Raw and SmackDown shows worse. It's his writing. It's the way he writes and produces the shows. The way they write and produce the shows, they are terrible. Really. How can management and creative not look at Bruce and say, are you writing these shows correctly? Are you producing these shows like how you're supposed to be producing them? I can't understand how creative can't go to Vince McMahon and say, Vince, we don't think these shows are benefiting the ratings and the viewership. We think you need to resign right now because you're not doing your job as chairman. How can creative not go to Vince McMahon and say all that? Oh, and I know some geek is going to come in the chat and be like, but Vince is doing his fucking job. Oh, but Vince this, Vince that, Vince this, Vince that. I don't want to hear it. Okay? Vince is continuing to fail every week as chairman. He is continuing to come up with numerous god-awful ideas. For an example, American Alpha, that was brought up, that was Bruce and Vince's idea. The name American Alpha was Bruce and Vince's idea. The pairing of Chad Gable and Otis, Bruce and Vince's idea. The pairing of the Mysterios, that was Bruce and Vince's idea. Oh, let's not forget Ziggler and Rude. The team of Ziggler and Rude, the Dirty Dogs, that was all Bruce and Vince's idea. All these paired up tag teams were Bruce and Vince's idea. Do they really think these paired up SmackDown tag teams are going to benefit the division? Do they really think that the tag team division is enough to boost up the SmackDown viewership? You gotta be freaking kidding me, man. You got to be kidding me. WWE needs to just merge the tag team divisions. Plain and simple. Merge the Raw and SmackDown tag team divisions. There are no teams on Raw or SmackDown. You mean to tell me there are only 4 teams and only 3 of them are paired teams? Only one tag team is an actual tag team on the SmackDown tag team division, and that's the Street Profits. They are an actual tag team. Unlike the other 3 tag teams in the SmackDown tag team division. Hell, the Street Profits even knows how to get it done in the ring more than those 3 tag teams in the SmackDown tag team division. Yet you got all these people in the community that's saying, oh, I love the idea of American Alpha. Oh, I love the idea of the Dirty Dogs. Why can't Bruce and Vince just accept Triple H and how good he's done as CEO of WWE and how good he's done as a producer for NXT UK? Why do they got to get jealous of Triple H? Why can't they just do like Triple H? Why can't they start writing and producing better shows like Triple H? Why can't they? Oh, because number one, they're mental. And number two, they don't give a shit about the talent, nor the commentary, nor the freaking shows or pay-per-views. Number three, they don't care about the entire IWC community. Once again, they only care about how they want the shows produced and right. They only care about how the pay-per-views are supposed to look. They only care about how they want the shows to look, how they want the pay-per-views to look, and how they want the talent to look. The reason why half of us that do Raw and SmackDown reviews shit on WWE is because of the fact that we are passionate. We care about this freaking company. We want this company to succeed. Just like AEW. We want AEW to succeed. We want to see WWE and AEW succeed, not unsucceed. WWE, right now, seem like they're unsucceeding. Raw and SmackDown, unsucceeding. NXT and NXT UK, succeeding. You see the difference? Telling you, man, Bruce and Vince need to appreciate Triple H for what he does, man. They need to start doing like Triple H and produce better Raw and SmackDown shows, like how Triple H produces better NXT and NXT UK shows every week. Triple H is the reason why NXT has the best NXT women's division on the planet. Just like AEW. AEW has the best women's division on the planet. Thanks to Thunder Rosa. Thunder Rosa put the division on the map. You seen her victory over Britt Baker. It shows that these two ladies are the true faces of the AEW women's division. The same could be said for Io Shirai and Rhea Ripley and Toni Storm and all the others on the NXT women's roster. There are so many female talents that are my favorites. So many AEW and NXT female talents that are my favorites. I have mostly NXT female and AEW female talents. They're mostly my favorites. But I do have a few Raw and SmackDown female favorites. Sasha Banks, of course. Bianca Belair, Bayley. Mandy Rose. There's much more, man. I can tell you some of the NXT favorites. Raquel Gonzalez. Io Shirai. Toni Storm. Aoife Valkyrie. A lot of these women are my favorites because they are good at what they do in the ring. Some of them have MMA backgrounds. For an example, Thunder Rosa from AEW. She's one of the reasons. Her MMA background is one of the reasons why she's my favorite, because her MMA background plays a role in what she does in the ring. Her kicks and her punches, everything she does plays a role. Folks, I just want the SmackDown and Raw Women's Division to be like the NXT and NXT UK Women's Division. I want the Raw and SmackDown Tag Team Divisions to be like the NXT and the NXT UK Tag Team Divisions. I want them all to succeed. Just like Bruce and Vince. Bruce and Vince need to be like Triple H and write and produce. But if they're not going to do like Triple H, well, you know what? You might as well just say, you know what, Vince and Bruce deserves to get fired. If they're not going to do like Triple H, they might as well get fired. Makes me wonder, is Nick Khan the president of WWE? Is he the boss of WWE? Is he the boss of Vince McMahon? I sure wish he was. My goodness. Anyways, so Nia Jax, Shayna Baszler are backstage arguing. Nia Jax says she should be double champion, and if Shayna tries to pull some crap on Sunday, she will come for her. Baszler says she'll get a match against Belair and kick her head off and give her the nasty EST beating of her lifetime. Seth Rollins is in the ring and says that he recently made his triumphant return to SmackDown. And when he did, the entire roster came out to greet him like a king. He says he knows they don't like him, but they respect him. They respected everything he has accomplished. So when they all walked out, he respected their decision to be idiots. However, one man took that respect too far. Just like I want to call Bruce and Vince idiots, by the way. Idiots for keeping young talent off TV that have been utilized, buried, and wasted on TV for months. Yeah, they're defiantly idiots for that. Now are they? Now are they, chat? Vince and Bruce are defiantly idiots for that, aren't they? At first, he didn't get it, but then he realized Cesaro was jealous. He's done everything, and Cesaro is an object failure. Unlike Cesaro, he's a fighter. He gets back up. The same can't be said for Cesaro. And Seth shows a video of him hitting Cesaro with 2 stomps last week. Rollins laughs and makes fun of Cesaro. Seth gets serious and says Cesaro swing him 22 times. He counted, and he will never embarrass him again. Because he is Seth freaking Rollins. Why is he saying he's Seth freaking Rollins? He's a heel. He shouldn't be saying that. Shouldn't he be saying something like embrace the vision? Telling you, this has got to be typical Bruce writing right here, man. Telling you. This is definitely typical Bruce Pritchard writing. It's got Bruce's writing written all over it, folks, I'm telling you. He should not be saying Seth freaking Rollins. He's a heel. He should be saying embrace the vision or for the greater good. Shouldn't he be saying that instead of saying Seth freaking Rollins? What is this, Bruce? Huh? Cesaro is the biggest waste of potential in history. Shinsuke Nakamura's music hits, and he dances his way to the ring, while Seth tells him to stay away, and he's far more of a man than Cesaro. Nakamura gets into the ring and snatches the microphone away. Nakamura tells Seth to shut up. Just like I want to tell Vince when he gets mad. Shut up, Vince McMahon! I'm trying to say shut the hell up, Vince McMahon. When Vince gets mad, starts running his mouth. Imagine me putting tape in Vince McMahon's mouth. We want to set the tape on fire. I think his mouth would be burned. Rollins swings but misses. Nakamura knocks him down, and once King Sasha, I almost said Sasha, but Seth rolls from the ring. Nakamura tells Seth to come in. He tells Seth to come on, and Seth takes the bait. He takes the bait. He gets mad, takes the bait. Nakamura hits a rock bottom of sorts, then a knee, and dances away. Looked like he was paying homage to The Rock for 1 second. Dwayne Johnson. Looked like he was. So we got the Street Profits versus Dominique and Rey Mysterio. Now, this match, even though this match was good, I gotta give it some credit. This tag match was great. But, come on, a face versus a face? A face tag team versus a face tag team? Do you really think that makes any sense? Do you really think that makes any sense? Absolutely not. Absolutely makes no sense whatsoever. Why would you book a face tag team versus a face tag team? Why didn't you just went with the Street Profits versus Academy, Alpha Academy, instead of going with Dominic Mysterio and Rey Mysterio versus the Street Profits? I mean, it would have been better than Alpha Academy versus Dominic and Rey Mysterio, because let's be honest, we done seen that match about 2-3 times? Well, because they're feuding. It makes sense. It makes sense. They're feuding. So, I'm not going to shit on that. They're feuding. If it's a feud, it makes sense. If it's not a feud, it doesn't make sense. Mysterios are currently feuding with Alpha Academy. It makes sense. It's okay to book the same match if it's a feud. But if it's not a feud and you're booking the same match every week, it doesn't make sense. It doesn't sound right. You get what I'm saying? You all in the chat get what I'm saying? So, the SmackDown Tag Team Champions, Dolph Ziggler and Bobby Roode, are on commentary for this one. The match gets underway with Ford and Dominique. And Montez slams Dom down with a wrestling hold. What if somebody calls Dominique Dominic? That'd be so funny. That's what my friend used to say in school. He used to call one of my friends named Dominique Dominic. It's just funny though. It was hilarious. Anyhow, match gets underway with Ford and Dominique. Montez slams Dom down with a wrestling hold. Dominique tries to escape, but gets caught with an arm drag. They go back and forth, then both flip up, and Dom looks for a handshake, but Montez kicks him. Ray blind tags in and catches a running Ford with a drop kick. Yeah, you definitely got to put some respect in their name after that one, after that drop kick. Dawkins tags in, and they double team Ray, with Dawkins tossing Ford into Mysterio. Dawkins splashes Ray in the corner and tags Ford. Mysterio counters both, but Dawkins catches him with a clothesline as Dominique tags in. Dom catches Dawkins with a turtle whirl and sends him out forward, then hits a massive clothesline and a book in for a near fall. The Profits look for a doomsday device. Sounds more like the Doomsday Saito's from Cross. That's what that sounds like. Sounds the same. Doomsday device sounds the same as Doomsday Saito's. Just about. But Ray slides between Angelo's legs and kicks forward off the turnbuckles. Then Dom rolls up Dawkins for the win. And that was it. Now, before I give you all my thoughts and comments on this tag match, I just want to go ahead and give you all my thoughts on Seth Rollins addressing Cesaro and Edge talking Mania and more. Now, my thoughts on this, honestly, Rollins did fire off the typical reasons for attacking a fan favorite before Nakamura defended his former tag team partner Cesaro, leaving the heel laying and presumably setting up a match with Rollins in the very near future, which I think they are going to book Cesaro versus Rollins for Fastlane. I did say that in the live stream, did I not? In the WWE live stream watch along? I even said that we could also see Apollo versus Big E booked for Fastlane. And then, as far as Kevin Owens and Zayn goes, I also said I could see Zayn and Kevin Owens being booked for Fastlane or WrestleMania 37. One of the two. I also said that as well in the during stream. Except for I said Fastlane and not WrestleMania 37. I forgot to mention that. But from a booking perspective, honestly, it makes sense that Nakamura would defend someone he has been close to with over the last year. Now, plus, it keeps Rollins busy without overexposing a potential match with Cesaro before WrestleMania. Now, will it benefit Nakamura in any measurable way besides television time? Probably not. But there are far worse ways to get Rollins Cesaro. There are far more ways to get to Rollins and Cesaro, folks. Now, my comments and thoughts on Edge. Talking main event. Now, Edge foreshadowing some payback for Bryan by breaking up his running knee was a nice touch. I will say that. Now, as was his effort to put Uso over as a genuine star in the industry. Now, as for Belair versus Basler, it is a match that we just saw not that long ago. Adding it to tonight's card feels like an attempt to kill time in a potentially overbooking of a program that was nicely highlighted to start the show. I don't know about nicely highlighted. That match didn't last long. That match didn't even last long. Didn't Tamina and Natalya ruin the match? Yeah. I wouldn't really call it a highlighted start to the show. Wouldn't call it that. So, now, Street Profits versus the Mysterios. The tag team division is significantly ahead of its Raw counterpart, with 4 teams really establishing themselves as credible championship threats. But 3 of the tag teams are paired up. They weren't actual tag teams. They're paired up. They weren't actual tag teams until now. That's what I'm trying to say. I think, in my opinion, the only real tag team in the tag division is Street Profits. The Mysterios, they were paired up. They're not really, they're a tag team now, but they weren't a tag team when they were, when Dominique made his debut. Obviously. I just don't think the Mysterios and Alpha Academy and Dirty Dogs are a real tag team. I just don't think. I could just see them possibly break. I could just see WWE possibly starting up breakup storylines for one of these tag teams, possibly happening. I just don't see these teams being together for long. I just don't see it. I don't. The right teams that you need to have in the SmackDown tag team divisions are teams like the Street Profits, Viking Raiders, and Heavy Machinery. But no, they went with Bruce and Vince went with the idea of having the Mysterios as the new tag team, having Alpha Academy as the new tag team, having the Dirty Dogs. I mean, I ain't gonna lie, they are good teams, but why? But why? Why these ideas? A lot of people in the community didn't like these ideas. So why would you go with them? Now, I will admit, the team named the Mysterios sounds pretty great, but Alpha Academy and the Dirty Dogs, I don't know about all that. I don't know. But I gotta admit, and Justin on Twitter was right about this. Justin Time, one of my YouTube moderators that was monitoring the chat last night, he was right. I gotta admit, he was absolutely right when he said the Street Profits and Mysterios was great. The match between the Street Profits and Mysterios was all energy. It was a babyface heavy match that really didn't make sense, but it was a great match. Babyface versus babyface, we all know doesn't make sense, but it still was a great heavy match, though, that gave Ray and Dominique a much needed win. I ain't gonna shit on that. I'm not gonna complain. It's true. I'm not gonna complain. I'm not going to shit on this at all. Only to have the uber aggressive Gable and Otis ruin their celebration and beat them immediately after. That's what they're supposed to do. They're heels. Heels do that. Heel tag teams do that. Well, meanwhile, the champs sat back and talked trash on commentary, hyping themselves up despite a noticeable lack of title defenses since capturing the gold. Now, this was all come to a head, presumably at Fastlane or in a multi-time match at WrestleMania, but all signs point to Ziggler and Rude having to pay the proper Piper in the form of a massive title defense against their top contenders. Now that's my analyst for that one. So, Chad Gable and Otis did stomp their way to the ring. Gable says he hopes Ray and Dominique don't think that meaningless win puts them higher on the totem pole than them. Gable reminds them that they've already beaten them, and Otis squashed Rey Mysterio. Gable and Otis turn to trash the Profits, but Ray and Dominique drop kick them out the ring. Then Dominique hits an impressive springboard crossbody onto both, and the Mysterios hightail it. So we got Gable and Otis versus the Mysterios. So we got them, and I already gave you my thoughts on Otis and Gable versus the Mysterios. So I ain't gotta worry about it. I ain't gotta worry about giving you my thoughts and my analysis on that at the end, because I've already given it out. So we return to find this match on the way, and Ray is battling Gable on the top card. Now Chad wants a suplex, but Ray knocks him off and jumps for a Hurricane Rana that knocks Gable onto the middle rope. Then a 619, Dominique hits Otis, then Ray goes to the top, but Otis shoves him off and tags in. Otis beats Ray and hits a powerful body slam. Then another. The Profits are on commentary as well, and they're arguing with Rude and Ziggler. Otis drops Ray with a big axe handle to the chest, then lifts him up for a bear hug. Mysterio breaks free by biting Otis' face, but then gets slammed down. So then Otis looks for a diving headbutt, and Ray rolls away. Then drop kicks him. Dominique and Gable get the tags. Dominique hits a flurry of offense, including a tilt-a-whirl head scissors. Dominique hits an impressive roll-up for two, then gets thrown onto the ropes, but bounces back off with a tornado DT to Gable. Now Otis comes back and breaks the pin, and Ray hits him, but Otis takes Ray out and tosses him into the barricade. Dominique attempts a 619, but Gable catches his legs and hits a rolling German suplex. Otis tags in for a big splash from the top rope for the win. That was it. So that was it there. Now, honestly, I already gave you my analysis and my thoughts on it. But I will say this. It's very obvious that we are indeed definitely heading for a Four Corners tag match for the SmackDown Tag Team Championships at WrestleMania 37. Even though the match could be good, that's just running through all the teams in the division in one match. So, that's all I got to say about that. And just in case you didn't hear about the Mysterio Street Profits, I did enjoy that match. It was great. Even though face versus face still doesn't make sense. It was a all energy babyface heavy match that gave Rey Mysterio and Dominique, again, a much needed win. So, now, after the match, Rude and Ziggler stand on the announce desk and say they'll take any challengers at any time. Sami Zayn's backstage and talking into his cameras, but Kevin Owens appears behind him. Sami asks KO if he's given any thought to being a part of the documentary, and Owens says he still isn't sure. Zayn tries again to convince him how big this documentary is going to be. Now Owens asks Sami if he's ever considered the idea and that he's twisting reality to fit his narrative. Owens says he's known Sami a long time, and he's always been this way. Zayn yells that it's never been his fault and they are holding him down. Owens asks Sami who they are, and he is incredulous. Now Sami tells Owens to come out and watch his match against Baron Corbin, and if he sees nothing suspicious at all, he'll drop the whole thing. So then we got a commercial break. We got Daniel Bryan in the ring wearing a shirt and jeans. Bryan talks about how exciting tonight's main event is. He says if Jey Uso wins, we know exactly what will happen. He'll do everything he can to ensure Roman wins. And if Roman is the champion, he professes to be, he shouldn't need help. On the other hand, Edge is the ultimate opportunist, and he'll do whatever he can to face Roman one-on-one at WrestleMania. He gets it. Edge thinks he can beat Roman, but he knows he can't beat him. Well, Bryan doesn't think he can beat Roman, but he knows he can, and he'll make Roman tap out on Sunday. Tribal Chief, the Universal Champion, Roman Reigns, comes to the stage alongside Paul Heyman. Now, Roman laughs at the idea of Bryan all these lies. Roman says Bryan doesn't have a chance. In fact, he has a better chance of shooting lightning out of his ass than making him tap. I really, on my WWE Smackdown live stream watch along, I laughed at this, and I mentioned that this was the most hilarious thing I've ever heard on that show. That was the most hilarious thing that Roman Reigns has ever said on this week's episode of SmackDown. It was hilarious. I laughed. It was funny. It was funny though. It was funny, man. I guarantee you he had majority of the virtual geek fans laughing at that. Nobody has ever tapped him out, and he'd rather lose an arm than tap. Ooh, sounds like a bold decision from Roman Reigns. Lose an arm? I don't know about that. That's not wise. I don't think I would say lose an arm. I don't know about that. You need your arms to freaking punch, and you need your elbows to freaking try to break free, you know. But he'd rather die than tap out to somebody like Bryan. I don't know if that's wise. But Bryan says that's pretty strong, but makes no mistake. Roman is the one who does the lying. He's delusional. Everybody thinks they're invincible and unbeatable until they're not. So Bryan isn't going to just make him tap. He's going to break him. Break his beliefs and his delusions. And he hopes Roman doesn't die, but if he taps out, or if he doesn't, he will be beating him. So then we got this bizarre video to hype Sami Zayn versus Baron Corbin, which made fun of both guys and said it was a match nobody asked for. That match was next after a commercial break, which nobody in the IWC really did ask for this match. I mean, nobody asked for this match. I mean, why would anybody want to watch a Sami Zayn versus Baron Corbin match? That match was a slow-pacing match. The match wasn't even fast at all. I mean, I understand Baron Corbin. Baron Corbin is fast when he's outside the ring. I don't know about inside the ring. But this is what we got. Sami Zayn versus Baron Corbin. You know that idea came from Bruce and Vince booking this match. This decision, this idea, and this booking. This is Vince and Bruce's doing. Vince and Bruce wanted it because they don't want to get the fans what they want. So the only reason why they wanted this match booked is because they think it's going to generate some kind of interest in the SmackDown viewership when really it's not. I mean, let's be honest, it's really not. What on earth kind of sense that make? So, anyways, Kevin Owens is at ringside, as per Sami's request. That match begins, and obviously Bruce and Vince doesn't know how to book matches. They suck at doing it. Zayn gets on the offense right away, teeing off with right hands and knocking Corbin into the ropes. I said knowing. Oh man, I'm laughing right inside of my head after saying that. Corbin fights back and catches Zayn with a clothesline before uploading some ground and pound. Corbin hits a splash in the corner. Zayn hides behind the referee to poke the eye. Heel tactic by Sami Zayn. The strategist. That's why he's the strategist for the reason, man. Showing an example of why he's the greatest strategist in the SmackDown Men's Division. Zayn rolls up Corbin and gets his feet on the middle rope. The referee sees it. Zayn then attempts to take the turnbuckle paid off, but the referee stops him. And Corbin hits a end of days for the win. Now after the match, Sami rose from the ring and asks Owens if he saw the conspiracy. Owens tells him he was the one cheating and he's crazy. Sami screams at Owens and walks off. Owens tells him to get help, then turns back to the announcers when Zayn almost takes his head off with a Haluva kick. Zayn screams at Owens and talks to his cameras. Now, before I give you all my analysis and my thoughts on the Zayn and Corbin match, here's my analysis and thoughts on Daniel Bryan addressing Fastlane, Edge, and Roman Reigns. So, Reigns was great here, honestly. Really hammering home the alternatives he would rather endure than tap out to Bryan on pay-per-view. Now, it also sets up an in-ring story in which Reigns becomes so intensively focused on evading submissions that he opens himself up to Bryan's vast knowing of holds. He opens up himself to Bryan's vast knowledge of holds, counter holds, and pinfalls. Bryan was his typically fine self on the mic, and his early mentions of Edge continued to hint at a potential showdown or angle between them by night's end for the Universal Championship. This feud, Daniel Bryan Reigns feud, could have extended all the way to WrestleMania 37. We could have got Reigns versus Bryan not only for WrestleMania 37, but for Fastlane too. Which we are getting Bryan versus Reigns for Fastlane, but we want to see Bryan versus Reigns for WrestleMania 37 too. You know, it makes sense to have Roman Reigns versus Daniel Bryan because that'll extend their feud all the way to WrestleMania 37. Now, see, the problem is, you got Edge versus Reigns booked for WrestleMania 37 when it should be Daniel Bryan versus Reigns. It should be Daniel Bryan Reigns feud. Again, that feud should be extending all the way to WrestleMania 37 to where we get the second and last Bryan versus Reigns match for the Universal Championship. I don't know why they went with Edge versus Reigns. I still, to this day, don't think it makes sense to have spear versus spear. We know how god-awful Reigns versus Goldberg was. Oh my goodness. It was fucking terrible. So terrible that the fans booed both of them. Said both of them suck. Never forget that match. But anyhow, after the break, we're getting a sit-down interview with Apollo Crews and Big E. Man, this is one of the best storylines, one of the best feuds going for SmackDown, the Big E and Apollo feud. I'm really enjoying this, just like everybody else is. My goodness, WWE is doing a fantastic job with this feud. That's one thing WWE is doing a good job with the feud of Big E and Apollo. I did not think this feud would be this great till now. Really. These guys were killing it in their interview. Big E and Apollo had a sit-down interview in separate locations. After a commercial break, Big E says, the chance for recognition is long gone. He says all he cares about is vengeance. And Apollo only has 2 days. Big E tells him to appreciate the crispness of the March air, the function of his limbs, and enjoy the moment because his future is bleak. Big E says he will retain the Intercontinental Championship on Sunday, no question, and Apollo will get everything he deserves. Crews says Big E shouldn't talk to Nigerian royalty with such disrespect. He's on dangerous ground. Apollo says this reminds him of a Nigerian proverb his grandfather told him. You fill your mouth with a razor and you will spit blood. Well, that's exactly what's going to happen to Big E at Fastlane. He's going to crack Big E's face, and he will see the Nigerian warrior inside him. His family and ancestors will watch him stand over Big E's mangled body as the new Intercontinental Champion. Big E rips his mic off and says there's no waiting until Sunday. Big E walks around backstage and gets onto a golf court, the official sponsor of Pandemic Wrestling, and drives around looking for Apollo. The camera cuts to Apollo walking around and he's shouting for Big E. Apollo comes around a corner and the golf court is there, which Big E drives at him but misses. They start brawling in the Concord. They start brawling in the concrete. And Big E throws him into the wall. He slams Apollo into a gate pillar and hits him with a trash can. I think that's going to even do him any good anyway. Apollo is sent into the gate repeatedly until referees come and stop him. Apollo then hops on the ground, or on the golf court, and drives off. I'm not going to lie, that word that I was looking at looked like it said ground, but it didn't. It said golf court. I'm admitting it right now. I'm actually telling the truth here. Now, my thoughts on King Corbin versus Zayn. Honestly, if we had to sit through that entirely meaningless match between Zayn and Corbin to get Zayn versus Owens on the WrestleMania stage, obviously, so be it. Anyone familiar with Owens and Zayn's work as opponents should be absolutely thrilled over the idea of them clashing on the grand stage. Even if it is in an undercard match, they have the opportunity to bring their careers full circle, graduating from high school auditoriums to the biggest show of the year in the same venue that hosted the Super Bowl. Now, the setup was excellent, I will say that, with Owens trying to talk some sense into his friend, only to drive him fully over the edge. It was a great start to a program that should only intensify in the weeks to come. We hope will intensify. Let's hope it does. Because if it doesn't, we all in the community are going to have a problem with two individuals, and their names are Vince and Bruce Pritchard. Or their names are Vince McMahon and Bruce Pritchard. Now, my analysts and thoughts on Big E, on the Michael interview Big E and Apollo. Honestly, I'm just going to go on the record and say Big E had that seeing thing anger. He had that see thing anger. That kind of anger where you just want to punch somebody in the face, right? Where you just want to rip a darn cord apart. It's the kind of anger he had. The sort that proceeds tears of rage as he addressed Cruz here. Now, he was great expressing frustration in a way that everyone can understand and relate to in real life as well. Real life shit, just throwing it out there. Speeding around the Thunderdome, confronting Cruz and not letting the sneak attack heel wait until Fastlane was excellent. What you would expect from a fighter who knows the target of his emotions is in the same building. Big E whooped ass, and the reference pulled him away from his foe to keep some air of mystery for Sunday. Now, what will be interesting, folks, is to see is if Cruz can exploit those emotions to his advantage, using them against the champion and catching him for the win. Now, it is a story we have seen before, and one that would allow the program to continue into WrestleMania, if nothing else. Now, we got Bianca Belair with Sasha Banks versus Shayna Baszler with Nia Jax. So, we got the match starting, and Bianca drops Baszler right away. So then Baszler counters and punches Belair, right? So then, tosses her out of the ring, and she lands at Nia's feet. So Jax doesn't do anything and walks away, and Shayna is confused. Jax walks up the ramp, and Belair, I keep calling Belair Baszler. Belair hits a spine buster for a near fall. Nia and Tamina run in and attack them. So it ended in no contest. This was an absolute complete waste of a match. Absolute waste. I don't even know why this was even booked if they know they were going to have Natalya and Tamina come out to ruin it anyway. Why was this booked if the match was going to be ruined? I don't understand. I don't think this made any sense at all, to be honest. I don't think this really made any sense. Now, I will admit, Banks and Jax leaving their respective partners high and dry was a nice touch. I will admit, I'm not going to shit on it. I will admit that it was a nice touch. But the problem is, it only adds to the section that currently exists with the two teams. That's the problem. Then, just as those teams struggle to remain cohesive, the united tandem of Natalya and Tamina attack and enter their names in tag team title contention, which I don't want to see. I mean, who the fuck wants to watch Nia? I mean, who the fuck wants to watch? Well, yeah, Nia Jax. Nobody wants to watch Nia Jax. But who the fuck that finally wants to watch Natalya and Tamina on our televisions? Really? Do you really want to watch a god-awful Natalya and Tamina in the ring? Have you all not seen how terrible these two are in the ring? Oh my god. I think you need to go back to their debuts. You need to go back to how they were back in NXT. I think the Tamina we knew and the Natalya we knew back in NXT were way better than who they are right now. Natalya and Tamina were better off when they were younger. Now they're older and now they're doing bad. They're doing terrible in the ring. I don't see them winning the women's tag titles. I don't see them being in line to challenge the women, to challenge Nia Jax, Shayna Baszler for the women's tag team champions. Why would anybody want to see a Nia Shayna feud with? Why would anybody want to see Nia and Shayna Baszler feuding with Tamina and Natalya? What on earth kind of sense does that make to anybody? What sense would that make to anybody in the community? I know to some of my followers it wouldn't make any sense because they know how awful my followers on Twitter, they know how awful Nia Jax, Tamina, and Natalya are in the ring, especially the real one. He's one of my followers. The real one. He can't stand Natalya just like I can't stand Natalya. She's fucking terrible in the ring. She's god awful. Nobody likes Natalya. Nobody cares about Natalya. Just like the same with Tamina. Nobody likes Tamina. Nobody cares about Tamina. And Lana. Nobody cares about Lana. Nobody likes what Lana does in the ring. Oh my god. Mainly Nia Jax. Why would anybody want to care about what Nia Jax does in the ring? All four of these women talents are absolutely terrible at what they do in the ring. Oh, not to mention Billie Kay and Peyton Royce. By the way. Just thought I'd throw those names out there too. And Lacey Evans, all these god-awful women's talents on the Monday Night Raw roster. My goodness. And the SmackDown roster. Why you want to have them when you can have women's talents like Belair, Bayley, Sasha Banks, Becky Lynch, and I want to say Charlotte Flair, but it's part of me making me... There's part of me that's wanting me to... It's making me not want to say her name. And there's part of me that's making me want to. But why would you want to have talents like that when you can have talents like Bianca Belair, Sasha Banks, maybe a Chelsea Green, Shayna Baszler? If Shayna Baszler was a singles competitor, she'd be dominating the SmackDown Women's division. If she was on the SmackDown Women's roster, she would be dominating. She would be SmackDown Women's champion by now. But all these talents, all these women's talents that I just named, the ones that I'm not fans of, the ones that I just named, not Belair, Bayley, and Sasha Banks. I'm talking about Natalya, Tamina, freaking Billie Kay, Peyton Royce, and Lacey Evans, and Nia Jax, Dana Brooke, and all these talents, all those talents, I'm not a fan of them. Now, however, the women's talents that I am fans of, I am a fan of Bianca Belair, Sasha Banks, Bayley, freaking Chelsea Green, who else? Becky Lynch, Asuka, let's see. What's the other one? Who's the other one? Oh, the other ones. Liv Morgan and Ruby Riott. There's a reason why everybody loves those women, because they do a lot better in the ring than a Nia Jax and freaking Tamina and Natalya. Man, Bianca Belair and Sasha Banks, Asuka, and Liv Morgan, all of those women are types of women you would want to watch on TV. You would want to watch and look at and say, these women's talents are one of the all-time greats. You know what I mean? Sasha Banks, she already is an all-time great, but you all get what I'm saying, right? You all understand where I'm coming from when I'm saying all this. And don't get me wrong. Not every woman, I'm not a fan of every woman. I just gave you the names of the SmackDown Raw women's talents that I'm fans of. Again, SmackDown women's talents, Bayley, Belair, and Sasha Banks. Liv Morgan and Ruby Riott. The only favorites My only favorites on the SmackDown Women's roster. My only favorites on the Raw Women's rosters. Asuka is Asuka, Baszler, and freaking Becky Lynch. Oh, and Rhea Ripley, now that she's on the Raw Women's roster. Everybody else on these Raw, the rest of the women on these Raw Women's rosters, I'm not really fans of. The NXT Women's roster. Now, the NXT Women's roster, folks, I have a lot of favorites on the NXT Women's roster. If you want to know who all my NXT Women's roster favorites are, if you want to know who my NXT favorite talents are, my NXT female talents, my favorites, number 1 is Io Shirai. Number 2 is, I know this one very well. Number 2 is Xia Li. Xia Li, Io Shirai, Gonzalez, Kota Kai. You know what I mean by Gonzalez, Raquel Gonzalez. So you got Raquel Gonzalez, Kai, Shirai, Xia Li. Chelsea Green was even my favorite NXT talent. She used to be on that roster. She used to be on there. And she's on SmackDown now, though. Who else? I just named 4. That's 4 I just named. Who else? Toni Storm, that's 5. Zoe, I may be a fan of her. I would like to see her more, to see what she, see more of what she does in the ring. I don't really know much about Zoe, but I know I've seen how good she is in the ring. But yeah, Toni Storm, Raquel Gonzalez, Io Shirai, and Dakota Kai. Oh, and Candice LeRae. Those are all my favorites on the NXT Women's rosters. Those are all my favorites. I think there was another one too. Oh, Shotzi Blackheart. Yes, forgot. I almost left her out of the picture. Now those women's on the NXT Women's roster that I just named are my only favorite NXT female talents. Oh, even Rita Rios. Rita Rios is on the roster now too. Even she's my favorite. I love her judo style, her wrestling skills in the ring. She really does good. She really does a great job with her judo and her wrestling skills. Same with Tenora Conti. I mean, where do you think she got her judo? Where do you think she got her judo stuff from? Her best friend Tay Conti. And Tay Conti is actually one of the 3 of my favorite AEW women's talents. Hello. Wake up, people. I'm going to tell you my favorite AEW women's talents and my favorite NXT women's talents later. I want to finish the review here. I want to finish up the review. So, the match between Belair and Basler ended in no contest. Now, Natalya and Tamina tossed Basler over the announce desk. When I seen them do that, I had that look. My eyes was wide open. I had that look like, damn. I wasn't expecting that coming from them. Didn't get back inside and beat on Bianca. So we see a video of Edge's last appearance on SmackDown when he retired. The rated R superstar makes his way to the ring for the main event. Basler versus Belair made no sense. I mean, that was a complete waste of a match. That's all I'm going to say about that. That's my opinion. Complete waste. That's my thoughts. That's my answer to that match. Complete fucking waste. We got Jey Uso, the main eventer, versus Edge, the rated R superstar. Let me know what your thoughts are on this match. I thought it was kind of sloppy. I thought Edge was kind of doing sloppy in the ring. Don't y'all think? Don't y'all agree? I think Edge, considering the fact that Edge was holding his ribs, he was kind of a little sloppy in the ring. Jey Uso was doing his thing, but Edge, not really. Must be an indication that Edge is getting really old. Yeah, I think Edge should have stayed retired, man. I really think he still should have stayed retired. After seeing him holding his ribs, it's clearly a sign that Edge should have been staying retired, like Goldberg. Edge versus Jey Uso. Speaking of Edge versus Jey Uso remind me of Goldberg versus Dolph Ziggler. So that remind me of. Well, Edge Jey Uso is a lot better than Dolph Ziggler versus Goldberg in a lot of ways. One, Jey Uso did what he did in the ring, and two, Edge was a little sloppy, but he did hit Jey Uso with a spear and hit him with a Hurricane Rana. He did a few moves here and there, but he was a little sloppy though still. So the match gets underway and they lock up, but quickly break apart and walk around the ring. They lock up again and Edge takes a stiff headlock. Jey shoots Edge off, but gets dropped with a shoulder. Now Jey turns over for Edge to jump over, but Edge drops down and looks for a crossface. Something I never thought I'd seen Edge do in his career. A crossface? Come on. That's not like Edge. Edge has never done a crossface before in the ring. The only thing we see Edge do is a spear, DDT, maybe super kicks. I don't know. Maybe forearms. Jey wriggles free, but Edge continues to assault with a knee to the gut and a knee to the back. To the back of Jey Uso, of course. Edge wraps Jey's arm around the bottom rope and bends it. So then Jey rolls out and Edge goes after him, but Jey elbows him in the gut. And just a reminder, those of you that don't realize that I don't think you realize that Jey Uso versus Edge was the main event of SmackDown. I think some of you might not have realized that, but now you know because I just told you. So Uso slams Edge into the steel steps, then gets back inside to hit a suicide dive, and Edge is slammed into the announce disc. And don't get confused, Jey Uso is the main eventer, but this match was a main event. Don't get confused. Don't let that confuse you. Don't let those two words confuse you. They're both the same words. They're both the same. We got a commercial break, back live, and Jey lands an uppercut, then a suplex that dumps Edge on the top rope. Edge hangs on the apron, but Jey forearms him off and into the barricade. Jey goes out and puts Edge back in the ring. Uso slides Edge rib first into the ring post, then goes out and grabs an arm and a leg, and bends Edge around the post. Jey gets back inside, but Edge punches him, then again, and catches a kick, but Jey hits an enziguri to the ribs, and Edge avoids Jey and hits a flying crossbody, and Edge is down holding his ribs. Edge attacks Jey's shoulder and throws him into the turnbuckles. Edge goes to the middle rope and hits a flying knee to the shoulder for a 2 count. Edge hits the ropes, but Jey catches him with a Samoan drop for a 2 count. Uso goes to the top rope, but Edge punches him and climbs up alongside to hit a Hurricane Rana. Edge crawls to make the cover and scores a near fall. So then Jey looks for a super kick, but Edge grabs the kick and lands an execution. Basically, it's a DDT. Still execution though. That's vintage Edge right there. Now we starting to see that the old Edge from the Attitude Era. Edge wants a spear, or should I say the young Edge anyway. But Edge wants a spear, but Jey super kicks him. Jey goes to the top rope and hits an Uso splash, but he reels from the shoulder pain. Then rolls Edge over and covers for 2. Jey lifts Edge, but gets wrenched down by the shoulder. Jey climbs to his feet, and Edge hits a quick spear for the win. And that was it. So after the match, Edge holds his ribs and gets to his feet. Roman appears from behind and spears him. Roman talks trash and golds Bryan, but Jey attacks Bryan from behind. Jey sends Bryan into the ring, and Roman spears him as well. Roman poses with the title to close the show. This match was good. Now, the focus remained on the dynamic between Edge and Bryan. Reigns put on an exclamation point on the hype for the Fastlane main event. All of those things considered, this was a successful show closing segment. That Uso was able to shine to the extent he did. Really looking good as he dominated the action and put Edge on the defense. Only added to the overall quality of it. Now, on a night when WWE needed a genuine excitement for a show that feels very much like a filler card, they hit it out of the ballpark, creating an air of mystery around that intensifying dislike between Edge and Bryan, putting Reigns at the forfeit as the show came to an end, of course. That's what I just said not too long ago. Now, SmackDown remains the best property in WWE, but in my opinion, I think NXT and NXT UK remains to be the only best brands in all of WWE. Not SmackDown Raw, but NXT and NXT UK. SmackDown Raw, I don't know. SmackDown, I don't know if SmackDown remains to be the best priority in WWE or not. Because some weeks WWE tends to give us SmackDown garbage, and some weeks they tend to give us good episodes of SmackDown. Some weeks SmackDown episodes are good, and some weeks they're not. That's one of the reasons why I say NXT and NXT UK are the only best shows in all of WWE wrestling right now. And all of World Wrestling Entertainment. Raw and SmackDown, they need to step it up. They need to do better. Bruce and Vince, I'm talking about, not the talent. Bruce and Vince, they need to do better with the talent, the shows, and the pay-per-views. They need to make sure they're producing and writing the shows right. Because if they're not producing and writing the shows right, then, you know what? They might as well remove themselves. They don't know how to write or produce the shows. They don't know how to book matches and, book storylines and feuds and all that shit. So. But I don't necessarily think SmackDown remains to be the best property in WWE. I think NXT and NXT UK, in my opinion, both of those brands, in my opinion, remains to be the best priority in WWE, not SmackDown and Raw. I don't see SmackDown remaining the best priority in WWE. And honestly, it hasn't even been really close since Reigns returned to the show last August, to be honest. So, I can't see SmackDown being the best priority in WWE right now. I can only see NXT and NXT UK remaining to be the best priority in WWE. But anyways, This week's SmackDown was good. So, that's going to do it for your March the 20th, 2021 SmackDown review, folks. If you enjoyed the SmackDown review, hit the thumbs up. If you didn't, hit the thumbs down. Your thumbs up always helps the channel. It helps out the channel, the live streams, the videos, and it helps me. Thank you all for joining me for my SmackDown review. And I'm actually going to look at the chat now. KC4L Wrestling Takes, man. Welcome to the stream. I hope you enjoyed my review, man. Please hit the thumbs up if you enjoyed it, man. I see your chats. I see your comments. Vince and them have no desire to book Sasha and Belair storyline worth it at all. Yeah, that storyline, that Sasha Banks and Belair storyline, Wrestling Take, that storyline, man, it was, that the build was just god awful, man. It really was. The way Vince and Bruce are doing Belair and Banks' feud is just absolutely terrible, man. They need to do better with this. They need to do better with the Sasha Banks and Belair feud, because I feel like they're playing sloppy. I feel like they're playing games with the community. I feel like they're trying to ruin Sasha Banks and Belair's feud, and built on purpose to anger the whole majority of the community, because they know most of the people in the community are fans of Sasha Banks and Belair, and Bruce and Vince, I guess we could say, sure knows how to anger the community. Thank you, man. Thank you for always supporting me, Wrestling Takes, and thank you to everybody else who supported me, who subscribed to my channel, that continues to support me and my channel, man. Keep on supporting me, man. I am trying my best, man. I really am. You can tell I'm trying. You can tell by my voice and my heart. You can tell I put my heart and soul into the best thumbnails that I've ever made. I put my heart into the videos and my live streams, you know. Because I care about my YouTube channel, and I want my YouTube channel to have 1,000 subscribers, and I want to do better, and I want to be inspired by. I am inspired by podcasters like JD and all these other podcasters when it comes to reviewing Raw and SmackDown, NXT, and NXT UK. I mean, I shit on WWE for a reason, and JD shits on WWE, and everybody else that reviews Raw and SmackDown, few of them, shit on WWE, is because, the reason why we all shit on WWE is because we care. We care about WWE. You know, we want them to succeed. But obviously Vince and Bruce doesn't want that. They want WWE to succeed in their way. They want power. They want to control the talent and the pay-per-views and the shows. They don't care about how the shows and pay-per-views are supposed to be written and produced and how good they're supposed to look. They only care about what they want. I've already said that. I'm not even going to repeat all that again. But thank you all for... Yeah, you want it to be better. You want it to be entertaining. You want it to be enjoyable to watch. You want it to be a fun, entertaining, enjoyable, great episode of Raw and SmackDown. But we can't get that because Bruce and Vince. Because Bruce and Vince is taking that away from the talent. It's taking that away from the majority of the people in the community that watch Raw and SmackDown. It's like they're ruining everything. Man, I can tell you one thing, just you wait till Io Shirai and Adam Cole gets called up to the main roster. Oh, man. All hell's going to break loose once Io Shirai and Adam Cole gets called up to the main roster, because once they get called up, I can see Vince and Bruce ruining them real quick. And when Rhea Ripley makes her Raw debut, you know what's going to happen? Garbage. They're going to utilize her, waste her, and bury her on TV just like they did with Aleister Black, Keith Lee, Andrade, Humberto Carrillo, Ricochet, Apollo Crews, and all the other ones. And then, you know what they're going to do with Rhea Ripley, Io Shirai, and Adam Cole? They're going to put them right in Titus Catering. That's where they're going to put them. And I don't want to see that. I really don't. I honestly don't. I don't think nobody here in the chat wants to see that either. The moment Io Shirai Adam Cole gets called up and all the other talents, it's over for them, man. Vince and Bruce buries NXT talent to Vince because he's sucking Vince's cock and he loves it. He loves it so much, he wants to suck it more, he wants to bury more talent. That's what he wants to do. Honestly, nobody gives a shit about 24/7 championship. No other women's titles. The women's titles should be burnt. The women's tag team titles, they should be burnt. They need, if anything, I don't even know why the NXT women's tag titles were even brought up. The WWE women's titles, you could use those. You could have used those instead of introducing an NXT women's tag titles. I'm never going to forget that, man. I don't know how in the world on earth kind of sense that made. That made absolutely no sense at all. How are you going to go from having WWE women's tag team titles to introducing NXT women's tag titles? That absolutely made no sense at all, man. Oh my God, I really don't understand WWE's logic, man. It is fucking terrible, dude. I really don't understand. Folks, thank you all for joining me for my SmackDown review, man. Again, if you enjoyed it, hit the like button. Encourage your friends, invite your friends to check out my SmackDown review. I'm actually going to tweet out a poll on how I did on my SmackDown review, and then I'm going to tweet out the link and the thumbnail again, you know, saying thank you all for tuning in. If you missed my SmackDown review, go check it out. That sort of. But anyways, folks, I'm gonna get the hell on out of here. Though, if you want to join me on Twitch, you can, because I'm about to stream some Dragon Ball Xenoverse 2, and I got 2 videos dropping. One on the full gameplay of God of Destruction Topo, the Pride Troopers Uniform 2. The other Topo, I'm going to be showcasing the other Topo that's on the game. The other God of Destruction Topo. It's the same as the other one, but he's got 2 different moves on both of them. And then I'm going to do a video showcasing Pycon, another character that came from the Legendary 1 pack. And then I'm going to be, but before those videos, I'm going to be streaming Dragon Ball Xenoverse 2, continuing to help people with their pair requests. It's going to be titled The Debuts of Pycon and God of Destruction Topo. And then, today, this afternoon, I'm going to be streaming some Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War. And then, probably this Saturday night, I'm probably going to stream Dragon Ball Fighter Z and continue the story mode, continue the Super Warrior arc. Even though it's not really showing the whole story mode, I don't know why. It's really pissing me off. Or I may just stream Naruto Ultimate Ninja Storm 4 and do some online battles on there. How about that? So, we're going to do Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War this afternoon, and then tonight, we're going to stream Naruto Ultimate Ninja Storm 4 and do some singles battles on there. And then Sunday, and then after the Naruto Ultimate Ninja Storm 4, we're going to stream Dragon Ball Xenoverse 2 that night. And then on Sunday, Sunday's my chilling day, so I'm probably going to watch some Encore Western movies. So I'm probably going to be going live with my Stars Encore Western Movies live stream, watch along. And then I'll probably go live with my Investigation Discovery watch along. Sundays is usually the days I chill. But I may be streaming Dragon Ball Fighter Z Sunday, so I'm gonna tweet out my full schedule for you all, so you all will know. But I'm getting out of here, folks. See you on the Call of Duty stream. Peace. I'm out of here. See you on Twitch. Coming up next is my Dragon Ball Z Burst 2 stream on Twitch. So join me there. Especially if you want to see God of Destruction, Topo, and PyCon. Have yourselves a great rest of y'all's weekend. See you on Twitch. Peace.